Today on the WEInvested podcast, we have here with us Phillip Jones, graduate from University of North Carolina, Charlotte, business owner, entrepreneur, investor, and real estate broker. What's going on, Phillip? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good, man. Hey, thanks for joining us today too, man. I know you got a busy schedule, a lot going on, so thanks for taking time and chatting with us.
For sure, man. You know I had to come. I definitely appreciate you asking me to be on your show, man.
Yes, sir. So, man, I know you big into real estate, man, and been doing real estate for a minute, for like the last few years, man. So, would you mind letting us know how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So back when I graduated college, I had a tech job. So whenever I got the tech job, I was making a little bit more bread than than normal, or maybe than my parents were making. And I had a surplus. I was looking for things to invest in. And my friend, told me to check out this book. He was big on investing. And he told me to check out this book, or just check out real estate investing, period. So I picked up a book by Bigger Pockets on Brandon Turner. It was like How to Invest in Real Estate, or Rental Property Investing is the name of the book. So I picked it up, and I was I was definitely excited to do it, because the concepts that I read in the book, just about cash flow and things like that, it just made sense to me. So, before I even finished the book, I had went out and purchased a rental property and, got a tenant in there. And that's kind of how I got started investing in real estate. That's how I got bit by the real estate bug.
Man, that's crazy. So you didn't even finish the book. You just jumped right in and said, I need some real estate now. I need to own some property now.
Exactly. I didn't finish the book. Just jumped off the porch.
And how was that experience? Like just jumping straight into it, really with like no mentors or no experience, or just like first time ever?
It was a great learning experience. I had a lot of ups and downs. The number one thing, the first thing, was, and this part is the fun part. So if you're like an analyst person like me, detail person like me, the funnest part is analyzing the property. Like, okay, this property is gonna give me this much cash flow per month, or that property is gonna do this, and trying to figure out exactly which would be the smartest investment. So that was a learning experience, but kind of challenging, because when you're going into something, especially with your money, you want to make sure you make a good choice. Nobody out here trying to catch L. So that was like the first thing that I would say is a little bit challenging, but it was still fun. The second thing was definitely choosing the right tenant, and that's a whole different experience in itself. But it was trying my patience, trying my stress threshold, just doing it by myself with no mentor, and just basically learning from YouTube and books and wisdom from God.
For sure, bro. And I heard you hit on it earlier, talking about finding a good team. So like, how did you go about finding maybe the right people to like surround yourself with?
Yeah, so I had went to a couple of networking events, and I probably didn't do the best job of finding the right people, but I just did what I thought I could do at the time. So I went out and found a realtor who was investor savvy, and he put me on a little bit of game as far as just when he was taking me to properties, he'll give me the rundown, because he was a general contractor as well. So there's two parts of the team that I had right there. And one, he would give me some estimates on, repairs and stuff like that. But when you're doing real estate, when you're an entrepreneur in general, a team is very, very important. Now I'm kind of on the other side as far as now I'm not investing. Well, I still am investing, but I'm a broker now. So, and I see that running a brokerage business, you need a lot of people on your team. Just off the back of the hand, it's like you need lawyers, lenders, contractors, inspectors. You just need a lot of people to help you facilitate the transaction so the client can have a great experience. And, that's what everybody needs in any business, really. You need a team that's going to help you give the client the best experience.
For sure, bro. So what made you transfer from like from real estate investor to real estate broker?
Well, I was an investor on the side. I had a full-time corporate job. And ever since COVID happened, coronavirus, I had got put on furlough. So I was like, well, I'm not going to just sit here and twiddle my thumbs, wait to get not put on furlough again. I just went ahead and got my real estate license and decided just to be a broker because that could give me full-time income, during the crisis, during the pandemic, or after the pandemic. And I already had got some experience with wholesaling real estate, so I definitely knew the ins and outs and what type of income that I could bring myself, and I didn't want to wait on nobody else to give me that opportunity.
For sure, bro. And like, can this give you an advantage, being an investor yourself and having access to the MLS?
Yeah, definitely. Some brokers don't know or don't understand the investing side of real estate, so that kind of limits them to the people that they can work with. So I definitely have a different skill or an added skill that some people may not have when they're first getting into real estate. Being able to work with other investors and being able to crunch numbers and really being able to analyze the market is definitely something that I can bring to the table that some other people might not would have. And it's a skill set that I would advise a lot of agents, if not all, to go ahead and try to learn that, because you can definitely not only just work with investors, but help somebody become an investor. Because if you got the knowledge to invest yourself, you got the knowledge to help somebody buy a property, you can educate somebody else just about real estate investing in general. And maybe somebody who was going to buy a dream home on their first purchase, you can educate them a little bit further and, talk to them about maybe getting some cash flow or some more equity in their house first.
Yeah, man. And that's an interesting point, bro. And that's really why I wanted to get you on the podcast, just because you've done real estate from like so many different angles, so many different aspects. And earlier you touched on wholesaling, which is, I think, like another important piece of the pie, piece of the journey. So like, if you could kind of elaborate and expand more on what wholesaling is, how you got started, and like, your thoughts about it.
Yeah. So wholesaling is basically assigning a contract. So whenever you're in a real estate transaction, you have the seller, or when you're in a traditional real estate transaction, you have the seller, you have the real estate agent who's representing the seller, and you have the buyer, and you have the real estate agent that's representing the buyer. And when the seller or when the buyer, puts in an option to contract to buy the house, the agents usually facilitate this transaction. But you don't have to have a broker in a real estate transaction. You can do it yourself, 100% by yourself. So what wholesaling is basically you have a seller who needs to sell their house, and a wholesaler will come in and put their house under contract to purchase their house. So let's say you have a house. And you want to sell me your house for $100,000. And I know that there's a house flipper who would want to purchase your same house for $150, and then they put some work into it, and then they could sell it for $250. So I would just get a contract to say I would buy your house, and I could sell that contract to that flipper, and then I would just make the in between. So in that scenario, I would make $50,000 if I sold him that contract for $150. That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. So with wholesaling, like, how was your experience with that? Like, was it a good learning experience? Did you take a lot away from it?
When I first started wholesaling, I was doing it in a small city. I'm from Rocky Mount, and I was learning everything because I had got into wholesaling because after I got my rental, I joined a networking organization, and I was seeing people who were bringing deals or who were finding the deals, because I just found my rental just off the MLS working with a broker. So I didn't get it from a wholesaler. I didn't know what wholesaling was, but joining the network association, I was able to see other people that are bringing in what they call off-market properties that are not on the MLS and not marketed it, but they had control over these properties and they were able to sell them. So I was like, okay, so this is the very, very beginning of investing in real estate. These are the people who are seeing the deal first. And I wanted to learn how to do that, because that was just, everything's piggybacks off the skills that you learn in wholesaling. And some of the skills that I had to definitely learn was talking to people, negotiation, handling a conversation, noticing people's personalities, how to adjust my conversation style to their personality to say they would be more receptive of what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to help them out so they don't be confused by the whole situation. So wholesaling definitely taught me the ins and outs of real estate fast. because I hit the ground fast as well. I didn't slow down, nothing. I just went ahead and started cold calling people, and you know, I just learned fast. So I had people cuss me out, hang up the phone on me. I had wrongly analyzed deals. You know, I did a lot of wrong things. I negotiated badly at first in the beginning, so I definitely learned a lot from that experience.
And so, how important is cold calling in real estate?
It's important to people for wholesaling. It's important because that's like the easiest way to get a conversion on a contract, or the simplest way, in my opinion. You have other marketing ways, which is like direct mail, which can get expensive. Cold calling is not expensive. You have, you know, Facebook leads. You have just marketing, online marketing, SEO, stuff like that. You can put out little signs that they call bandit signs, the signs you see on the side of the road called like, we buy your house cash, and with a phone number. There's different ways you can market and wholesale, but I think cold calling for me is number one because it gets you in front of the most people the fastest, and it allows you to have real conversations, and it allows you to meet more people. So if that person isn't a seller necessarily, you don't get like a wholesale deal, that person could be a landlord who's looking to buy more property, so that you still would put them in your network, and they could be a general contractor, somebody who fixes houses. They could be any person that you might want to add to your network. So cold calling is not only just to generate business, but it also helps you expand, you know, your network and the people that you know.
For sure. So, like, what would you say to somebody who was just getting started, maybe afraid of cold calling or whatever, but a person just kind of getting started or getting introduced into real estate? Like, what advice would you have for that person?
I'd tell them to go ahead. If you're going to start out wholesaling and cold calling, then you need to get up in the morning and practice. You need to practice scripts in the mirror. So if you're calling an absentee owner, and this is more detailed, but if you're calling an absentee owner, you want to be able to call them, you know if they're in state or out of state, have that conversation with them, and practice that in the mirror to yourself, and practice just little small techniques that will help you be better. Like stand up whenever you're calling these people, smile whenever you're calling these people, and know that at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is they like say no or they hang up the phone. Like, you're not going to get shot from cold calling somebody. There's no reason really to be scared. It's okay to be nervous, but you just call the next person and pick it right back up.
For sure, bro. That's some helpful information, man. That's some good advice. But yeah, man, just to elaborate a little bit more on your first real estate investment purchase, man, because I think that's really dope, and a lot of people probably have not had a chance to go through that process yet, or maybe even heard about it. So if you could like go into a little bit more detail about your first investment property.
Sure. So I can just go through the whole process so people can understand exactly what went on. So the very, very first thing I did was went to a mortgage lender. That just happened to be my bank. So they got me pre-approved for X amount. It was like $200,000, but I knew I wasn't gonna pay that much for a property because that was just maximize, everything that was the opposite of what I was trying to do. So I just set my budget to $100,000 because my loan was actually going to be zero down. The bank that I use, they have zero down payment loans to buy a property. So, and I didn't really notice at the time, but that loan was supposed to be owner occupied. So I'm not advising nobody to do this. But I did it. So it was supposed to be owner occupied, but I lived in there for a couple of days and then I got out. I got a 0% down mortgage, and I set my budget for $100,000 or less because I calculated what my mortgage payment would be, and that's just what I wanted to go with. So I'm out shopping for all properties.
What was your credit score at the time?
It was around like 700. Okay. Around like 700. And yeah, so I'm shopping around for properties that $100,000 or less, and I go look at some properties, and I settled on this 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom townhome for $82,000. And the reason I chose that house was because, all right, so I settled on this property because it was close, very, very close to downtown. I was in Durham, North Carolina. I was very close to downtown Durham, like 4 minutes away. I was also 4 minutes away from North Carolina Central University. And the house was kind of a little bit of bad shape, but it was livable. Like I could put somebody in there instantly if I wanted to. So that's why I chose that property. It was a townhouse.
So what's the importance of location? Because I hear you keep mentioning just like different landmarks and different places around it. So what's the importance of location when buying real estate?
When you're investing in real estate, you just want to make sure when you're buying for cash flow, to put a renter in there, you just want to make sure you're in a good rental market, and you want to make sure you're near things that people would want to go to if they did live there and rent it out the house. And also, the more things that they're doing around where your property is, the more likely it is for your property value to go up. And so that was the third component. Is I saw that they were gentrifying. They're gentrifying the neighborhoods like right beside where I had bought my rental. So I figured it that way would just come in and boost my rental property value up. So that's the third reason why I chose it. So it was a 1.5 bath townhouse that I purchased in Durham that I got. And whenever I got the house, I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So I redid the floors. The living room floor had carpet. I took out the carpet and I had to put down some laminate flooring. So I went ahead and did that for my tenant. I repainted the house. My family was able to help me do that. My mom, my dad, my brother, a couple of my cousins came. My grandma was in there painting. We had our paint suits on. Was painting the house. I redid the outlets, like the outlet in the wall outlet fixtures. The plates that go on it, just to make it a little bit better. And I also put in a washing machine. Put in because it didn't have a washing machine, but it did already have a dryer that the seller had left in there. So. Those are just some of the small things that I did in there. I changed out the lights in the bathroom, and that's about it. So I did all of that, and I was able to, get a tenant in there.
For sure, man. What was that feeling like? How excited were you when you were able to get that tenant in there?
I was super excited. That was the first time I just felt like, okay, I'm really an owner. The tenant was double my age, if not more. She had a family, just stuff going on, and I'm here, the owner, facilitating that whole thing, getting rent money and providing somewhere for somebody to stay. That's a whole different feeling, and I was very blessed and humbled to even be able to have that experience.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 23.
That's crazy, man, to have that type of experience and already have done something like that. That's major. And so the story continues. If you want to continue, you can continue. If you want to cut it here, we can cut it here.
No, for sure. Yeah. So we got the tenant in there. And that was my first mistake, was the tenant that I chose. So boom, here I had a few options for tenants, and basically, because I'm human, I'm not a business yet. It's my first time doing it. Or whatever. In the area that I was in, of course, I was attracting the tenants that I was able to get in the area that I was in. They were kind of subpar tenants, as far as they didn't have, want the best tenants as far as like on paper. But I already knew that going into it, and I wanted to give people a chance. So anyway, got a tenant in there. I should have went with a Section 8 tenant. That I also had apply, but nonetheless, anyway, went with the tenant. Everything was good for like the first 3 to 4 months. She paid early, and I was getting my cash flow. And then I guess this thing started going on in her life, and the rent stopped coming in. So I had to go through, a period to where I was, I gave her a chance, of course, the first month, trying to look out, trying to, help somebody out of a sticky situation. But then, it came to the next month, and that's when I kind of had to grow up and you know, put my foot down kind of and let people know just because I want young, I just won't let you get away with anything. So I had to go through a whole eviction process, which was a learning experience as well. But luckily, I didn't have to actually evict her on the court date that I had to show up in court. She had to show up in court. She just left. So I told her if she left, then I won't go through with the eviction and it won't, you know, ruin her credit or be on her credit report or whatever the case may be. So that's what she did. And, you know, I was able to do that. And thank God she didn't ruin the house. You know, sometimes you have experiences where tenants ruin the house, do a whole bunch of crazy stuff to the house. But she didn't do none of that. She got all her stuff out. Of course, I had to clean up a little bit, but it wasn't trashed. And then after that, you know, I was about to move away. So I just kept it for a couple more months and then I sold it. And, you know, that whole process only took about 10 months.
So what made you say you wish you would have picked Section 8, a Section 8 tenant?
Section 8 tenant, I just would have had guaranteed money from the government. I would have had a guaranteed check that wasn't dependent on her situation per se.
For sure. Yeah, man, and I think that's just a great story, bro. Like every time I hear it, I'm just more interesting, bro, because it shows like both sides. It shows like the possibilities of it shows what comes with you know, being an investor, like just the ups and the downs, you know, the good and the bad. So I just think it's a dope story for the people to hear and to give them like real expectations of what to really look for and what to really expect when like investing in real estate and having tenants and, you know, bringing people in and everything that just comes with it.
Yeah, for sure. And just to piggyback on that, like, yeah, it could go bad, but at the same time, it can go very good. You have some people who rented out houses and they've had the same tenant for like 25 plus years. Or you have great situations. I was just thankful, and I'm thankful that I got put in a worse situation on my very first trial. So now if I had to go through anything else, it probably won't be as bad as having to go through an eviction. Or now an eviction isn't that bad at all. It's just a process, the system that you add into your business.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so I heard you say that you had a corporate position before this. So like, how was that transition from like corporate world to like 100% on your own commission-based work?
It's definitely different as far as I have to structure my own stuff. I have to time manage a lot more intricately, a lot more detailed. I have to be my own boss seriously. So I have to hold myself accountable for the stuff that I do or don't do. So the transition for me was pretty easy because I always was doing that stuff outside of work anyway, or just, outside of work on the side anyway. I already kind of knew what it had to take to be successful as an entrepreneur. So the transition as far as the little things that I have to do is easy. But as far as like the overhead, starting out buying supplies, having these monthly payments that you have to make to whatever helps you run your business, you know, that part is always going to be a little bit hard if you don't have the startup capital. But as far as the little personnel or habits that I had to make transition, you know, that was pretty easy.
Okay, so like what's your day-to-day, like what's the daily schedule for you now versus you know, when you had your corporate job?
So now during the day, you know, I can do exactly what I need to do to get the job done. So I wake up in the morning, you know, I exercise first. Usually I would have to wait till the afternoon because of traffic and, you know, all that type of stuff. But now I can just wake up in the morning, work out, come back in, go ahead and start doing stuff to work on my business. So in the morning I usually do role playing a little bit, and then I'll start just hopping right into lead generation activities. So whether that be, you know, creating landing pages or posting on social media or cold calling myself. And then in the afternoon is basically for appointments, meeting new people, and going out introducing myself, going to businesses and things like that, seeing how I can help them and be of service to them. And then at night, you know, in the evenings, I can kind of keep working on business. So I can, you know, add in anything else that I need to wrap up for the day, whether that's email, following up, writing down some blog posts or anything like that. So the whole day can just be generated or direct it towards, my business, instead of having to split some of that up with the job.
Okay. And so, like, how do you make sure that you're staying productive throughout the day, man? Because I know it can be, well, for me, I know it'd be tough to not have really any restraints or any kind of anything that you have to do. So how do you stay productive throughout the day?
Well, people who are listening won't be able to see this, but whenever I drop the video, you have what you call a time calendar. It's a glare, but basically I got all my hours mapped out for the whole day from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I try to write that out the night before, and I just go by that every single day, hour by hour, and try to stick to it as much as possible. When I do deviate, I have to give myself some type of personal consequence, so I don't do that often. It might be like, okay, if I mess up here, give X amount of money to like somebody. You know what I'm saying? Even though I like giving, I'm not trying to be messing up, giving money away every single day because I'm messing up. Right. So it's a little way I help myself stay productive.
Okay. So how important is time management for you?
It's super important. It's the most important thing outside of God when it comes to business, because I believe time is our most valuable asset. So like without time, you dead basically. You can't do nothing else. You can run out of money, and still have time to get more money. You know what I'm saying? But you run out of time, it's a wrap. So I think time is just the most important thing we have, and to manage it right is to set yourself up for success.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. So, like, what are some of your favorite parts about being an entrepreneur, like, or this journey that you started?
Yeah, I love being an entrepreneur because I just had the freedom. Even though I give myself a schedule, if I wanted to, I could, mess up the schedule for 2 days and just go wherever I wanted to without having to ask somebody, can I? You know what I'm saying? If I have the means to do it, if I have the money to do it, and my business is operating well without me, I can just do it, and it's not going to take away from any PTO days or whatever the case may be, so that's definitely one of my favorite parts, and the creativity of it. I'm not just stuck in my role in a position at a job. I can create, which is what we was put on earth to do. So I'm able to create, and that's fun.
For sure, bro. And I know creating is like really nothing new for you. I've been following you on Instagram, the word of mouth podcast, the word of mouth YouTube reviews. So it's like you've been on this path. So can you like explain just a little bit to the people like what exactly word of mouth is?
Yeah, for sure. So word of mouth is a platform and an initiative to highlight Black-owned businesses that we have, across the nation and the world. It's a YouTube channel. I review different Black-owned products such as like headphones, shoes, board games, basically consumer products that we have in the community. And I also highlight tech products that we have in the Black community as well. So there's a lot of tech in the world, period. And, it would be impossible for somebody to know everything we got going on. But I definitely wanted to highlight the tech that we have in the Black community, because we got a lot of smart people and we invented a lot of smart things. So just some of the things that we got, or some of that Black people have, they have Black and Mobile up in Philadelphia, which is a Black-owned like food delivery service like Uber Eats or Postmates or whatever, but strictly for Black-owned restaurants. So that's dope. You got Popcom, which is like a smart kiosk vending machine that you put like in a mall or airport or whatever, and it's very like AI-ish. It scans your eyes. You can pay like with your fingerprint and get out like whatever you're trying to buy in that vending kiosk. So those are just a few of the things that we got in the tech space. It's pretty cool.
Okay, for sure, bro, for sure. So do you have like any plans of kind of merging together all like your interests, like the tech, reviewing different companies in the Black community and promoting different companies in the Black community and real estate?
Yeah, I definitely plan to bridge that gap further in the future. Just working on plans to see how exactly I can best benefit the community and how I can help the most without taking away anything.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so it seems like everything that you're doing is already digital, already internet based, with your podcast and with your online business. But you also are with the online real estate brokerage firm, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so
ESP Realty.
Yeah, how has that experience been, like, kind of just selling real estate and getting into real estate virtually?
Well, like selling a real estate, that's still in person, physical. But the brokerage itself, like as far as like my managing broker or like other agents and with the brokerage, we just have like a virtual office instead of a physical office to go to and ask questions. So like all of our broker details is just in what they call EXP world. And we go there to have meetings, we go there to have trainings and stuff like that instead of having to go to an in-person physical building.
Okay, for sure, bro, for sure. So as a real estate broker and investor and entrepreneur, how do you personally define success?
Success is just based on how many people I have helped and the impact of that value that I've created. So that's just basically how I determine success, is how many people have I helped.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so, like, how do you want people to remember you and your company or any of your businesses that you start?
I want people to remember me as a catalyst, and somebody who helped them move forward in some shape of life. I just want to be known as the person who helped somebody bridge that gap, whether it's somebody buying their first home, somebody selling a house, getting out of a situation, somebody trying to invest in real estate, a black-owned business, trying to get more exposure, whatever the case may be. I just want to be known as somebody who helped.
That's dope, bro. That's dope. So what's next for you? Like, any future projects, anything you're working on, any goals? What's next?
Yeah, so I'm just working on building out this brokerage. I do have a project management business that I'll operate, where I'm trying to manage projects for commercial clients. I do have one client who's in the process of raising some funds to develop a mixed-use building, and I'll have more details about that out later when it's finalized. But that's basically what I'm working on now, and in the future is just project management and development, because eventually that's what I will be as a developer, developing all of this space and buildings for our communities.
For sure, man. And what was that again? You said it was a
mixed use commercial building.
Okay.
Project development going on. Yeah,
for sure, man. That sounds exciting. I can't wait to hear more about that one. But
for sure, yeah, it will be exciting. I'm excited too.
For sure, bro. So at the end of every interview, man, we like to play a question game. Ask a couple questions and see what you like, bro. So I'm about to jump into it now. Hold on, bro. I gotta fix that.
My nigga said, "See what you like."
Hey, hold on, bro. Damn. All right. Yeah, man. So at the end of every podcast, we like to play a question game, just to ask you a few fun questions at the end. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's straight.
All right, bro. So question number 1: where's your favorite place to travel?
My favorite place to travel gotta be Hawaii.
That's dope. What song explains or represents your life the most?
Probably it's gonna have to be "Never Stop" by Future Hendrix.
Yes. And then last question, bro. What's an amazing thing you did that no one was around to see?
I gave this lady her bread back on Cash App. Somebody accidentally cashed out me some bread, and I returned it to her.
It's a fact. I know a lot of people would have ran off with that.
Yeah, I could have, but I know if I would have mistakenly sent some money to somebody, I'd need that back.
True story, bro. But look, man, thank you for sitting down, chopping it up with us, man. Can you let people know where they can find you on social media or the internet?
Definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at P_Jones2.
Awesome, bro. Thank you, man. Have a good one, bro.
All right, you too. Appreciate it.